group. Um, Sorry for starting a little bit late, 5 minutes late. Some minor technical issues here. Restream forced us to reconnect our accounts. So hopefully this went out to LinkedIn and Facebook and is going out to YouTube. It looks like it is. I'm not 100% sure of that. So however that happens, it's still going out to Spotify in a couple days. So anyway, great to see you. It's been a week. It's been a whirlwind of a week. I'll tell you, I can't talk about specifics, but I had a pretty fascinating Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Just here in Seattle, went up to have a meetup with some of the folks involved with Mars Society, Dr. Robert Zubrin and the founder, and then also James Burke, the executive director. Them and about a little less than a dozen people or so all participated in a brainstorming think tank session to kind of figure out what's next for the Mars Society. There's a lot more to it than that. I have to simplify because I can't betray any confidences. But it was a fascinating, interesting, fun couple days. Friday was mostly about a 3-hour, 4-hour session, kind of trying to get our arms around what's happening next. And then Saturday, another almost an 8-hour, 9-hour session with a terrific lunch and happy hour on Saturday. The short version is, as an organization, it's been around for a long time. It's had a really successful track record. It's done some amazing things. And I said quite bluntly at this meeting that Zubrin and Burke are going to be partially responsible for when we land humans on Mars. There's a direct relationship between the Mars Society, Elon Musk, and Starship. And when that beast of a machine lands on the red planet, people are going to point to Zubrin and Burke as the catalysts for that. So shout out to those folks. It was a great couple days. Thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it. Some cool stuff is going to come out of it. It's not my place to share that. Just I'm going to say that I'm excited about the near future. It might be months before they release this stuff. So just don't hold your breath, but there's some cool stuff happening. On that note, I'm going to shift over to kind of our regularly scheduled programming. As you know, what we normally do is we bring on our guest. Today we've got Matthew Williams. Matt. Normally we talk about that intersection between, so it's all about space, but it's that intersection of infrastructure, finance, and national and international policy. So those are the drivers of our space program, money, technology, and decisions at the federal and international level. So, Matt, what we normally do here is we talk about people's origin story. Where did you come from? How did you get here? Let's kind of dig deep into it, 10, 15 minutes to kind of talk about who you are, what you're doing. I have some interesting questions relating to one part of your job. I don't know that much about the other thing that you're doing. So let's start with your origin story. How did you get here?
Oh, 10, 15 minutes, huh? Okay. Well, I can drag this out. That's okay.
What we're looking for is, this space field that we're in. It's kind of mysterious. right? People on the outside don't really know how to get inside, right? And so everybody takes different paths. And I'll tell you some background about me. I went from a 1.17 high school GPA, D average, to the Marine Corps, to investment management, to Boston University, to internet technology development, real estate. And then in my 30s, I finally kind of brought myself back to space. So it's pretty bumpy, pretty irregular path. And we find that a lot of people have pretty circuitous paths before they get here, right? So
Yeah.
what we want to know is, who are you? What's your background?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, jobs, skills, ambitions
Mm-hmm.
here.
Yeah. Well, I hear you, and yeah, circuitous would be the right word. I was born in Ottawa. I'm a Canadian, just throwing that out there. Yeah, so I was born in the nation's capital and grew up there. And originally, I studied to be an educator. So did university, got social science degree, went to teachers college in the same city, and from there I started teaching, and I was doing that for a few years. I moved to British Columbia, where I now live, to be closer to my family, because we were all planning on moving out this way at some point, and they kind of beat me to that. So I moved out and met my wife, and the funny thing is, I've been doing on-call teaching for ever since I got here, and that was 2006. And yeah, I was an aspiring science fiction writer too. I'd written things, but nothing that had been published. That was sort of my second love, all things space, technology related, and where that's taking us. And I mainly explored that through fiction. And it was in 2010 that, through a friend who happened to be Fraser Cain's wife, and Fraser Cain is the publisher of Universe Today, we all met up and we started talking, and he was intrigued that I had a research and writing background. He liked the fact that I was an aspiring science fiction writer. So we got talking, and about 4 years later, he had been advising me on how to, become a better writer, become more up on all the developments in space and so forth, with his very, very illustrious website. And then about 4 years later, he said, "You're writing about a lot of the same stuff we cover. Why didn't you come in here and we start doing that?" And a year later, I quit teaching to write full time. Okay. And that was 2015. And I've been with Universe Today ever since. I branched out some to write for other publications. And coincidentally enough, it was my day job that really started to inform my fiction writing. And I thought, yeah, the two are now one and the same. It wasn't like before when I was an educator and worked on written stories in my spare time. So, yeah, it's like it worked. It was like everything that I love to explore on my own time, I'm now writing about as part of my day job. And yeah, it really helps too, because it's like you really want to understand where humanity's going. You need to brush up on the history of science. Yeah, you need to look at your history and social sciences. Not bad for that either. And really understand what's going on today. I'm just the bleeding edge of research and development. So yeah, I ended up getting a few books published, but my main thing is still the science communication. And don't remember when exactly that was, but that's when I started putting on my business cards, right?
Right.
Former educator.
What grades were you teaching when you were, you said on call, we call it substitute, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What
grades were you teaching and what subjects?
Well, history and English were my, or history, social sciences as one, and English as another block. But by the time I moved here, I was covering pretty much the whole curriculum. And because, of course, you can expect to be dealing with anyone from preschoolers and kindergarten and Head Start to grade school, middle schoolers and high school. And so my background is in basically literature and history, but I never really got to teach that in like full on, and that was a little disappointing for me. But yeah, I found I can do that now. It's just it kind of has a focus. But history is science. History is astronomy. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Are you? I lived in Vancouver for about a year, and I lived in Montreal for a year. Are you? When you say you're in British Columbia, are you on Vancouver Island or in Vancouver area?
Yeah, I'm on Vancouver Island, right down just outside of Victoria, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for people who aren't familiar with the geography, I just tell them I'm from Victoria, right?
Sure.
Like, you live next to the major city. I'm from the major city.
We're neighbors. I'm just outside of Seattle in Tacoma, and I used to go to Victoria about once every 2 years. I haven't been there probably in 5 now. The pandemic mostly, but lovely place. Because I kind of think is Fraser on Victoria or Vancouver Island, or is he in Vancouver also?
He was in Vancouver for a bunch of years. He is currently living up in the Comox Valley, and he's been there for as long as I've known him, and it's still there. Yeah. So yeah, that's just sort of little more than midway up Vancouver Island, and also very nice. It's where my folks live too, actually.
Yeah, nice. I'm here because of my folks are still here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of dig into this a little bit. So you transitioned from doing, I'll just say broadly, communications to students to science communications to the public. That was about, I think you said 2015, 2016. Was that an easy transition or a difficult transition?
It was actually pretty easy. And I'm not bragging when I say that. It's just that it was there obviously there was a steep learning curve and some a lot of lessons to be learned along the way, and the fact that you're communicating with the public, oftentimes it means that some of those lessons can be a little embarrassing, but it felt very natural because I thought, well, I love this stuff, and right. I always want to learn more about it. So as I go through the process of just digesting information and doing that, and then finding a way to communicate it to others in a way that's going to make sense to them, right. Because like me, they don't have a degree in astrophysics. Maybe that felt very, very right. So yeah, the transition was actually quite fun. Just occasional bumps.
Pardon me. Sorry. Is there an area within University today that you spend most of your emphasis on? I've looked over some of your articles, and I don't really see any specific themes. Am I missing something?
No, because I'm pretty much all over the place. But I do have a few areas of passionate concentration, but I can't, because we cover developments and news a lot. You can't really stick to one area, not unless, of course, that you want to be just the specialist who writes occasionally. But the things I like to write about the most are interstellar travel, the possibility, the concepts, terraforming, space elevators, and any kind of mega structures. Yeah, I know. You guys, that's actually how I learned about your company there. It was years back, and I was researching it rather furiously, and yeah, all the names, all the big names popped up. So
I'm not aware that you've written anything. Have you written anything on the space elevator? Either Earth elevator or lunar elevator.
Earth space elevator. I've sort of peppered it into many things I've written over the years. I've written a few really long articles there about just the idea, the development behind it, and recently I had the honor of talking directly to the International Space Elevator Consortium, and
Is that Pete Swan?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. And he and Adrian Nixon were telling me all about, because they read an article I just written about it, and they said, you may not be aware of this, but we want to talk to you about graphene, single crystal graphene, and the method for mass producing it. So I said, sure, and came away thinking, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot has happened since I last wrote about this. I need to get on that. So yeah.
Cool. That's great. Definitely follow up with him. I have my own opinions on some of these things, but it's going to be there's a lot.
Uh-oh. You frozen. Oh dear.